What is your opinion on people who wait until marriage to lose their virginity? See what people do. Do whatever you want, just don't harm others and y'all good. I don't have an opinion, other people's sex lives are none of my business. You do you boo-boo. People can decide when they want to lose their virginity, it's a personal choice. If it works for them, great. Personally, sexual chemistry is an important part of my relationships, and I wouldn't be able to commit to someone with marriage unless I knew we were sexually compatible beforehand. They shouldn't expect the sex to be great the first time around. I don't care about them as long as they don't try to lecture me about my choices. But personally, I wouldn't do it. Not only I'm not religious, but also I think sex is an important part of a healthy relationship, at least for me it is, and sexual incompatibility would be a problem. Marriage is also something that I don't need for happiness. Also, I'm just big horny and couldn't wait that long. A lot of marriages fail, even when they've consummated the relationship before tying the knot. So, really, my opinion is just that entering a marriage is always a risky endeavor. Whatever decision is made, however, should be one that both partners agree with and believe in. Finding out you aren't sexually compatible after getting married would suck ass, edit, not in the good way. First time sex usually sucks. Just like getting married at a young age, I feel like you are closing yourself off to a lot of other experiences. But it's their choice and should be respected. Their body, their choice. That it's none of my business what people do with their own lives. None of my business. Enough people have made it work that I can't argue that it's some sort of radically terrible life decision to make. Both sides have to agree with it. If one side does not, things should probably end. Speaking from experience, I stupidly waited because I wanted to show her I was this good guy. I had sex in a previous relationship. Fast forward, even after getting married, I was always the one having to initiate. The sex was very vanilla, and she never got into doing anything crazy. Sex always had to be in our bed, and nowhere else. I was lucky if it was a couple times a month. If I started getting frisky, she would say, "Is that all you think about?" just to shut me down. We did have kids, and after our oldest turned 13, there was no more sex, or any intimacy at that. This led to me being lonely, and wonder if I was ever going to have sex again. It wasn't the only reason, but it was a small part, but I found the courage to get divorced. I met a woman who was very sexually experienced and couldn't believe what I had been missing. This made me realize a couple things. The ex-wife, who grew up fairly religious, had been hit over and over again of the sin of sex before marriage. When we dated, and heavy petting would occur, she would stop and claim she was a good girl. I also believe her mom put forth this notion of sex being dirty. All in all, sex sucked between us. I hate saying if I had to do it all over again, because saying that means our kids wouldn't exist. I probably would have had a frank discussion with her to see what her aversion was to sex. Bottom line, personally I think waiting until marriage is stupid and would not do that, but again it's a personal preference. Sound like a lot of wasted years you could have been exploring your sexuality. Not for me, but to each their own. It's none of my business how and when other people choose to have sex anyways. Sex is like a sport. You might not be good at it at first, but if you communicate and practice, you may eventually be good at it. As long as the communication is there, it should be fine. I think it's a really bad idea, but to each their own. That first orgasm is gonna be wild. Honorable, but fraught with the potential of subconsciously entering marriage simply due to horniness, and the real possibility of sexual incompatibility. I wouldn't buy a house without an inspection, nor a car without a test drive. Marriage is a bigger commitment than either. I mean, if that's what you wanna do. Doesn't matter what I think. It's their business. Too late for me, though. Good for them, lol. Good for them. Not my cup of tea. Don't have an opinion about the people who do it, but I have an opinion about this strategy. I think it's not the best strategy possible, and I don't see any big benefit that is worth the risks. To each their own. Leave them alone. Let people do what the fuck they want, that's what I think. You know what we do with virgins? We sacrifice them. Cool, you do you, fam. At the end of the day, it's your life and you can decide if/when you want to lose your virginity. But the first couple times you have sex, it's gonna be awkward and uncomfortable, so personally I wouldn't wait until my honeymoon, but again, you do you. What if you never get married? I never understand this, especially from super Christian people who always then seem embroiled in weird sex scandals. They may find out it just doesn't click for them, or even fit, or they may even be allergic to one another. Rare but happens. If it's voluntarily, then it's their choice. But if you're a young horny couple who hold on to this ideology and get married just to have sex, that's like really stupid. Usually mentally indoctrinated into some form of cult-like thinking. Making your own decisions with informed knowledge is frowned upon, and your value as a human is dependent in the partner you, or your parents, can find. You will be closed off from parts of your community if you make your own decisions in life. I'm sure there are very few who wait until married and don't fall into the above, but I think they are very easy to count, i.e. no pressure from family, friends, or religious leaders for that behavior, but an informed decision. Nothing before marriage means you have a high chance to either not be happy with that, or you will cheat/be cheated on. Which would not be a problem if you are not interested, of course. The main problem here is that you can only know once you have some practice. As said on another, probably related thread, this is one massive cause of cheating. And that's alright. You chose to go blind, everything works, but that, well, might as well get satisfaction somewhere else. It worked for a long time, no reason it should stop now. I have no problem when it really is an informed choice. The issue I see here is that I have never seen someone make that choice. It always was forced, by a parent, by religion, by culture, when not by all. I have never heard a reasonable explanation of that choice. Most believe sex is just wonderful, whoever you end up with, everyone likes the same thing, and there is no such thing as physical differences preventing practices. When I hear this is a proof of love, I get a bit angry. This is a proof of submission, not love. Love is about supporting and making your partner feel great. If you love someone, you don't force him/her to go blind on the second most pleasurable thing in his/her life, the first being illegal drugs. If you think about it, but it has serious drawbacks. I was raised Mormon and there was a point where I thought waiting till my wedding night would be so romantic. The idea was that if neither of you had ever had sex then you would grow to enjoy sex together and therefore guarantee that you are sexually compatible. Then I started dating and decided sex was okay as long as I was dating the guy exclusively. I was dating guy who had wanted to stay a virgin, and I respected that. One night when we were making out he decided that he wasn't all that attached to his virginity after all. Long story short, took us 3 different attempts to figure out that he liked it rough. I wasn't into rough sex. I tried it, was okay with digging my nails in his back, but I am just not dominant. That is when I realized sex before a large commitment is a must.